Hello, good morning, students. Welcome to this new class. Today we shall take geography lesson number 5, and that is speaking about the natural vegetation and wildlife. We were talking so much about the natural vegetation in order to protect the environment, protect the ecosystem, and so on. So, two aspects or elements of this ecosystem, that is, one is vegetation and wildlife. So, shall see in detail about the India's wealth, that is in natural vegetation as well as in wildlife. So, we can take lesson number 5. So, have you observed the type of trees, bushes, grasses and birds in the fields and parks in and around your school? Are they similar or there are variations? India being a vast country, you can imagine the types of bioforms available throughout the country. So I am quite sure you must be observing a lot of trees in this area, lot of birds, lot of animals, and we see everything is different from the other. The trees are different from one to another, the birds are different from one another, and the animals are birds from one another. They are all not same, they are all different from one to another, and therefore we can say India is very rich in this natural biodiversity. The biodiversity, bio means the life. There are different types of life, different shapes, animals, birds, trees, and so on. And our country is one of the 12 mega biodiversity countries in the world. So, in matters of biodiversity, we can say our country ranks in the 12th in the world. Since India is being a vast country, we have a lot of biodiversity, therefore, we have got 12th rank in the world. With about 47,000 plant species, India occupies 10th place in the world and 4th in Asia in plant diversity. So, considering only about plants, we can say we have got around 47,000 types of plants growing in India or found in India. 47,000. Therefore, only in matters of this plant, not the entire biodiversity, not including animals, only the plants, then we can say we have got the 10th position in the world. And if you consider the countries of Asia, India is 4th in the rank. And there are about 15,000 flowering plants in India, which account for 6% of world's total number of flowering plants. So if you take about the flowering plants, the flower plants, how many we have? We have 15,000 flower plants are there, plants that will give flower, and that is a big quantity. We can say the 6% of the total world's flowering plants are found in India. So the 6% of these flowering plants are found in India. And the country has many non-flowering plants such as ferns, algae and fungi. So there are many other plants are there which do not give flower. Which are they? We can underline. Some of the non-flowering plants are ferns, algae and fungi. Not fungi, fungi. And India also has 89,000 species of animals as well as a rich variety of fish in its fresh marine waters. So, India also has got a very rich variety of animal species. So, 89,000 animal species are found in India. So, that is again a huge number. Then that is including the fish. And in the marine waters means ocean waters, we will find a lot of fish as well. The natural vegetation refers to a plant community which has grown naturally without human aid and has been left undisturbed by humans for a long time. You can underline that also. what is the definition of natural vegetation? So natural vegetation means a plant community. Plant community means a group of plants which has grown naturally without human aid, like the forest, that group of trees that are growing in forest. Nobody is going and planting tree in the forest. It is growing by itself. Then without the human aid and has been left undisturbed by humans for a long time. So human beings do not disturb it. That means we are not cutting it. So for a long time it has been growing there without human beings disturbing. That is called natural vegetation. So let's say once again, a plant community which has grown naturally without human aid and has been left undisturbed by humans for a long time. That is the definition of natural vegetation. This is termed as a virgin vegetation. So if that vegetation it is undisturbed by human beings and without human aid it is coming up by itself, then it is called a virgin vegetation. Thus cultivated crops and fruits, orchards form part of vegetation but not natural vegetation. So we have so many other trees like what we are cultivating in our land. The fruit trees, the flower trees, all these are planted by human beings and it is not lasting forever. It is when it is over we cut away, then we plant again or we prune it. So human disturbance is there. But in the natural vegetation which is in the forest, we don't go for cutting, we don't go for putting manure, so we don't do any kind of disturbance there. It is growing by itself. That is natural vegetation, and we can also call it virgin vegetation. It is pure, not disturbed, not receiving any help from anyone. But what we are planting in our own garden or on the roadside, we plant trees for shade, for protection. All these are not natural vegetation that is growing with the aid of human beings. Then, do you know the virgin vegetation which are purely Indian, known as endemic or indigenous species, but those which have come from outside India are termed as exotic plants. So again a little explanation about virgin vegetation. So the virgin vegetation means that is grown in India. That is grown in India by itself. Not we are bringing seed from foreign country and planting. Suppose if you go to another foreign country and you find very beautiful tree there and you bring the seed and plant in India, then it is not virgin vegetation. That will be known as exotic plants. Exotic means foreign plants. So also some of the seeds, small seeds can fly and come from other countries, from our neighboring countries, maybe from Nepal or from China or from Pakistan. When the wind is blowing, it is possible that seeds are flying and coming and falling in India. So then it will not be called natural vegetation. It is exotic vegetation or foreign vegetation. So see the difference between natural vegetation or the virgin vegetation and exotic vegetation. Virgin vegetation means the vegetation that is growing by itself in India, not bringing from foreign countries. But the seed that is brought from foreign country, that will be known as exotic vegetation. I hope it is clear the difference, the distinction. Now, the term flora is used to denote plants of a particular region or period. Similarly, the species of animals are referred to as fauna. So, I am quite sure you must have been hearing this flora and fauna from lower class onwards. Flora is term referred to plants that are growing in a particular region for a particular period. So, the plants community is known as flora. And the animals that are found, that is known as fauna. So flora and fauna, they go together. Flora is plants and fauna is animals. And this huge diversity in flora and fauna kingdom is due to the following factors. So we said in India we have so many species. How much we have? The flora, we said we have 47,000 plant species, that is flora. Then we have How much species of animals? Fauna, 89,000 species. So we have such a huge variety of species of flora and fauna. Then why we have so much? So it is a question that we have to ask ourselves. Why do India has such a huge flora and fauna? What is the reason? And the reason is because of the factors that we are going to study. First of all, it is relief. One of the reasons responsible for this having variety of flora and fauna is relief. Relief. So under relief there are so many factors are there. So relief means the land, the soil, all that. That is called relief. And the second factor will be climate. The second fact will be climate. So under relief we have land, soil. We have land and soil under relief. Let's see what is the role of the land in having or in producing a lot of flora and fauna. So the land affects the natural vegetation directly and indirectly. So the land is affecting the growth of natural vegetation directly as well as indirectly. Do you expect the same type of vegetation in mountains, plateau and plain areas, or in dry and wet regions? So if you go to mountain, one type of trees will be found there, and if you go to the plain areas, plateau area, you will find another type of vegetation growing there. Or if you go to the dry places like the Sahara desert in Rajasthan and so, if you go, you will find small plants growing there, not very few big trees you will find. But if you go to wet places where there is plenty of rain, you will find very huge big trees, tall trees you will find. So that is depending on the land. The mountains, one type of trees will be growing. In the lower places, in the valley, another type of trees will be growing. In the wet places, one kind of trees will be growing. In the dry places, another kind of trees will be growing. So the land has got an important role to play in deciding what kind of natural vegetation is going to be there. The nature of land influences the type of vegetation. The fertile level is generally devoted to agriculture. The undulating and rough terrains are areas where grassland and woodlands develop and give shelter to a variety of wildlife. So mostly the good land that is used for cultivating for agriculture purpose. So the good land, the level land, the fertile land, that is never given for planting trees or for making forests. That is always used for making agriculture, vegetations and so on. Then the fertile level is generally devoted to agriculture. The undulating means up and down like hills. If you climb up the hill, one hill will be coming down, another one will be down, up, down. So it is not very suitable for cultivation. So these undulating and rough terrains are areas where grassland and woodlands develop. So such kind of mountain slopes, that is usually people don't cultivate there, therefore it is left free there and the trees start growing by itself. Then grass will be growing, trees will be growing there, and it will become a forest, and in that forest you will find animals living there. So that are the areas normally the natural vegetation is found, the forests are found, and under the forest there will be animals as well. Then the second type that is influencing the growth of natural vegetation is the type of soil. The soil also vary over space. We know everywhere the soil is not same. The type of soil that you find in Ziro may not be the type of soil that you find in Itanagar. It will be different. So from place to place, soil also is different. Some places it may be red soil, some places it may be black soil, some places it may be sandy soil, some places it may be clay soil. So different type of soils are found in different places. And different types of soils provide basis for different types of vegetation. So all the vegetation will not grow in all types of soil. Certain type of soil will be suitable for certain type of trees. So that type of trees will be found there. Then the sandy soils of the desert support cactus and thorny bushes, while wet, marshy, deltaic soils support mangroves and deltaic vegetation. So you will find sandy soil in the desert regions, and it does not support the growth of big huge trees, but small trees like cactus, and they will be found there. Then the wet places, wet, marshy and deltaic soil support mangroves. What is mangrove? The trees that are growing, planted by human beings, and the evergreen trees and so on. So good soil, which is deltaic, which is wet, that kind of trees will be in that soil. Trees, green trees, evergreen trees will be growing there. And deltaic vegetation. Deltaic vegetation means the delta we know, we have studied in the previous classes. The delta is found along the river where the soils are deposited by the river water. So such kind of areas, some kind of trees will be growing there. That is called deltaic vegetation. Then the hill slopes with some depth of soil have conical trees. So some of the hills, it is full of rocks and stones. There may not be much soil. But where there are a lot of soil is there, depth of soil is there, you will find there are different type of trees like conical trees. What is this conical tree? It is a very thick and fleshy stem. Trees that are not very huge but small trees with very thick stems and with a very fleshy. Fleshy means it will have plenty of storage capacity of water in the stem, and so that kind of trees will be found. So we found the soil is different. Some places it is wet soil, some places it is dry soil. So what is grown in the dry soil will not be found in the wet soil. The trees that are found in the wet soil will not be found in the dry soil. So according to the quality of the soil, the type of trees growing there also will be different. So that is the two aspects of relief, the land and the soil, which influence the growth of natural vegetation. Now let us see another one that is influencing, that is climate. So under climate there are so many aspects are there. One is temperature. The character and the extent of vegetation are mainly determined by temperature, along with humidity in the air, precipitation and soil. So on the slopes of Himalayas and the hills of the peninsula, above the height of 915 meters, the fall and the temperature affects the types of vegetation and its growth. The changes it from tropical to subtropical temperate and alpine vegetation. So the character and the extent of vegetation are mainly determined by temperature, along with humidity in the air and precipitation and soil. So when we say climate, what are the things included in that? It is the temperature, that means high temperature or low temperature, along with humidity in the air. So how much of humidity is there, how much of wetness is there in the air. Then precipitation, that is the rain, how much rain is there, and what type of soil we have, that we already saw before. So these are the things that are affecting the growth of the trees again. Then on the slopes of the Himalayas and the hills of the peninsula, above the height of 915 meters, the fall of the temperature affects the type of vegetation and its growth. So some of the mountains that are very high, like Himalayas and peninsular plateaus, what happens to them? They are very tall mountains are there, more than 915 meters. So there the temperature is very low. As we go higher and higher, the temperature becomes low and low. So above 915 meters, the temperature is very low. Therefore, that cool temperature is affecting the growth of trees. All kinds of trees cannot grow in that cold weather. And it changes from tropical to subtropical, temperate and alpine vegetation. So alpine vegetation means the vegetation that is growing in the mountains. So it is changing from tropical to subtropical, temperate. So the type of trees growing there are different according to the temperature, according to the rainfall, according to the humidity in the air, and so on. And you can see there's a chart given there. You can see the type of trees growing. So in the tropical regions, mean annual average temperature, so if the temperature is above 24 degree Celsius, what will be grow there? Tropical trees will be growing there. And if it is the January, especially in month of January, where the temperature is above 18, there will be no forests available there in the tropical region. Then in the subtropical region, if the temperature is between 17 degree to 24 degree, there will be very rare forests. Or if it is in the month of January and so on, that is in the winter, 10 to 18 degrees Celsius, then very rare forests will be there, very few trees will be there. Then in the temperate regions, where the temperature is between 7 to 17, or in January -1 to -10, then there will be frost and some snow will be there, and it will be difficult for the trees to grow. Then alpine mountains, where the temperature is below 7 degree, then below in the month of January it is below -1, then there will be plenty of snowfall will be there, and it will be difficult for the trees to grow there, and so see, these are just descriptions. What are the different types of climate that they experience, the temperature they experience in different zones, the tropical zones, the subtropical zones, the temperate zones, and the alpine zones. In different zones, what are the temperature that they experience during certain periods, and what will be the weather condition there, and so on. So that is about the climate, the temperature. Then second one is photo periods. Photo period means sunshine, how much sunshine they receive. That also depends on the growth of determines the growth of the trees. The variation in duration of sunlight at different places is due to difference in latitude, altitude, season, and duration of the day. And due to longer duration of sunlight, trees grow faster in summer. So we know the trees require a lot of sunshine in order to do this photosynthesis, to prepare food for them, for nutrients for them. Therefore, in the summer they receive more sunlight, therefore the growth is faster. In the winter they receive very little sunshine, therefore the growth is very slow, and so on. So the availability of the sunshine depends on the location of the place. For example, latitude and longitude, altitude. So the location of the place in the map. Then the season, winter season, summer season. In the winter season they will be receiving very less sunshine. Most of the time the sky will be cloudy and the day may be shorter. They may receive sunshine for shorter periods. So due to longer duration of sunlight, trees grow faster in summer. So in the summer we receive longer day and longer sunshine, therefore the trees will grow faster. And another important thing is precipitation, that is rain. Precipitation, so water, rain, all these are very much essential for the growth of the trees. So in India, almost the entire rainfall is brought in by the advancing southwest monsoon, that is from June to September. So almost all the rain that we get is because of this monsoon wind that is coming between June to September. And retreating northeast monsoon, so they come and then they go back. So during that time we receive the rainfall in India. Areas of heavy rainfall have more dense vegetation and compared to other areas of less rainfall. So when we compare and check, we see the area that receives more rainfall, there are more trees growing, and the areas where there are less rain, the trees are less. So more the rain, more the trees. So we may ask the question, why have the western slopes or the western ghats covered with thick forest and not the eastern slopes? Can you say the reason? The western slopes and the eastern slopes or the western ghats. So one side they receive more rainfall, therefore that side receive more trees. Another side of the mountain receive less rainfall, therefore the trees are less. The same mountain but two sides. One side receives more rain, another side receives less rain. Where there are more rain, more trees are growing. Other side of the mountain it is not receiving much rain, therefore the trees are less. Then have you ever thought as to why the forests are important for human beings? Forests are renewable resources and play a major role in enhancing the quality of environment. So we know very well about the importance of trees in our life. It is very much needed in order to improve the quality of the environment. It removes the carbon dioxide and produces oxygen, cleans the air, all those things. So you must have studied from the lower class onwards how important tree is for keeping our environment clean. So the same thing we are repeating again. And also they modify local climate. So where there are trees, the climate will be cool. And control soil erosion. Where there are a lot of trees, the soil erosion will be less. Then regulate stream flow. It will be controlling the flow of the streams. Then support a variety of industries. So most of the industries are supported by vegetation, the trees, paper industry, especially depending on the natural vegetation. Then making house, furnitures, all these depend on the vegetation. Then provide livelihood for many communities like Adivasi communities and tribals. They depend very much on this forest for their livelihood. They get a lot of dry wood for their firewood. They collect fruits, nuts, everything from vegetation. Then offer panoramic or scenic view recreation, and where the trees are growing, if it is full of flowers, you can see they provide such a beautiful scenery for us. So it is very nice, very interesting to watch the trees. When people get bored, they go to the forest, spend some time there in that beauty of the nature, and they get refreshed and so on. So that is also very important to refresh our minds. Then it controls wind, force and temperature and causes rainfall. So the trees block the wind and the wind stop there because of the huge trees blocking it, and that area gets rain. If the trees are not there, the wind will continue to flow and it will rain some other place. So where there are more trees, it is possible that that area will get more rain. Then it provides humus to the soil and shelter to the wildlife. And also the forest is a shelter of wild animals. If these trees are not there, then the animals will continue to enter into the human inhabited area and will destroy our garden, our house, even human lives. Then India's natural vegetation has undergone many changes due to several factors such as the growing demand for cultivated land, development of industries and mining, and urbanization and overgrazing of pastures. So because of this, human needs or human activities, we can say the natural vegetation has undergone a lot of changes. So we had lot of forest areas before, but because of human encroachment, maybe to cultivate land, they are cutting down the trees and making it garden, or they are cutting the trees for timber, for industry, or for mining. In the forest, if there are natural elements are found, then they go for mining and they take it out, and the forests are destroyed in that process. And because of urbanization, so people expand the town more and more, and they need a lot of furniture, they don't need a lot of wood for making houses, so they go on cutting the trees, and the town is extended to the forests and so on. And also overgrazing of pastures, another thing. People who are having a lot of animals, cows and other animals, they keep on taking these animals to the same place again and again for eating grass, and they eat and eat, and the entire grass, the small trees, the seeds that are coming up, all that is eaten and destroyed by these animals, and the forest is affected. Then the vegetation of India in large parts is no more natural in the real sense, except in some inaccessible regions like the Himalayas, the hilly region of central India, and the Marustali. The vegetation of most of the areas have been modified at some places, or replaced or degraded by human occupancy. So in the beginning of this class, we learned what is the meaning of natural vegetation. The trees that are growing by itself without human interference, without human aid, and left without human interference for a long time. So if you look at that definition, we can say most of the forests in India are not natural vegetation, because people enter inside and do a lot of activities, maybe for collecting firewood, maybe going for hunting animals, and cutting the trees or pruning the trees, all that. So human beings do a lot of activities there, therefore we cannot say it is exactly the natural vegetation. Only in some very remote areas, interior areas, or on high mountains, Himalayas and so, where people are not able to reach, then we can say that area may have natural vegetation. Otherwise, where it is near to the human inhabited areas, then we can say some kind of activities will be carried out by human beings, and therefore we cannot call it exactly it is natural vegetation, because human beings interference is there. So we shall wind it up for today. I will continue in the next class again about the natural forests and wildlife, and let's see how or which are the areas that are affecting the growth of trees and the growth of animals and so on. So thank you for listening. Have a nice day.